So hello, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Kathy Schloessman, President and CEO of the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission. And I'm so happy to have so many of you join us tonight. Before we get started, I want to give you a little bit of background on the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission and our role in the sports and entertainment world, which is particularly important right now. 5 years ago, on January 12, 2016, Stan Kroenke and the Rams' vision to build a state-of-the-art stadium and entertainment campus in Los Angeles was approved. 5 years later, that vision is now a reality. Now, with the addition of SoFi Stadium and Hollywood Park to an already incredible lineup of venues in Los Angeles like Staples Center, Banc of California Stadium, Dignity Health, and our recently renovated venues, the Coliseum, Dodger Stadium, and the Rose Bowl, we are now able to bid on and win high-profile and world-class sports and entertainment events. And we have done that. We have bid on and will be hosting the 2022 Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium, the 2023 College Football Playoff National Championship at SoFi Stadium, WrestleMania in 2023, the NCAA Men's West Regional Basketball Tournament in 2024, the Major League Soccer All-Star Game, the US Open at LA Country Club in 2023, and the big one, the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. And we're in the bid process and think we have a really good chance of winning a big chunk of the 2026 World Cup. All these events happen here in Los Angeles over the next decade. These events bring tremendous impact to our city and the tourism industry. Last year's Super Bowl in Miami generated $572 million of new spending. High-profile events like the ones I just listed off create impact. They create enduring impact, infrastructure improvements, media visibility, and increased tourism that strengthen our cities today and in the long term. They keep on giving. They create exponential impact. The positive impact of a singular event ripples outwards to create thousands of jobs and put millions into our economy. They create interwoven impact. They have extraordinary reach. The impact of an event goes well beyond the venue. High-profile events connect local small businesses, hotels, restaurant, retail to big opportunities. The bottom line is the return on investment. The ROI for high-profile events is immense. They infuse millions of dollars into the economy, offer numerous engagement opportunities, and help strengthen our community as a whole. Our goal is to make sure these events have a positive and successful experience in our city so they want to come back, because they are big business for our city, they're good for our communities, and that defines success for the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission. We hope that each of you, as future sports industry executives, will play a part in helping us market and promote these events, ensuring that we continue to host them. And now, on to our event. This is our 8th annual Business of Sports event. We host this event each year because it gives us a chance to meet you, the future sports and entertainment industry leaders in the city. We also host this event because all of our speakers here tonight had someone help them get to where they are today, and they want to return the favor and help you achieve your goals. A constant theme you will hear when people talk about how they got started in the sports business is they got their foot in the door somewhere, whether it was through a volunteer opportunity or a mentor or a friend who helped make an introduction. We have a few ways for you to get involved in the major events we're hosting. I'd like to ask Chris Hibbs, our Director of Community Engagement, to share a few suggestions. Chris?
Hi, Kathy, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us who's in attendance tonight. There are 3 different opportunities that I would like to share with you. The first is what you're doing this evening, which is attending the Business of Sports. This is our opportunity to continue to introduce you to various jobs in the Los Angeles sports industry, and we'll be hosting these throughout the year. So please look out for more information that will be shared with you using your RosterFi account. Also, by registering for this event, you are signed up to receive the latest information on our LASEC Volunteer Academy, including Super Bowl 56 volunteer opportunities. And finally, we are launching the application process for our professional development program tonight. We will select 25 college junior, senior, or graduate students to participate in a paid, one-of-a-kind job training program in the summer. This 5-week program will teach practical job seeking and job training skills, introduce you to Los Angeles-based sports industry leaders through panel discussions, and pair you with an executive level mentor. The link to the application will be emailed to you after this event and can be found at the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission website. We look forward to engaging with you over the next year as we lead up to Super Bowl 56 and a great panel tonight. Kathy, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Today's event is an opportunity to take an inside look into how the Super Bowl is built. I'd like to kick off our program today by welcoming our speakers. Aubrey Walton, Director of Event Location, Strategy, and Planning for the NFL, and also our point person for Super Bowl. Tony Vroman, Director of Stadium Events at SoFi Stadium. Jason Witt, Director of Community Engagement at SoFi Stadium. And Dave Weiss, Vice President of Sports Marketing at iHeart Media. Our speakers all play a critical role in planning for the upcoming Super Bowl. I'm going to start with questions to each speaker, but if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll try and weave them in during tonight's session. Let's dive into what they do. Can each of you give our audience a 1-minute overview of what you do on a daily business? You've got this great title, but really, what does that mean? Aubrey?
Yes. So my title is Director of Event Location, Strategy, and Planning. And what does that mean? There's 2 sides to my job. The first one being I create, manage, lead all of our bid processes for all of our NFL tentpole events. So working with all the 32 clubs in their cities and trying to figure out if they can be a host to a Super Bowl, an NFL draft, a Pro Bowl, kickoff, or combine. So planning these events anywhere from 2 years out to 6 years out, and then eventually choosing the winning city. And then the second part of my job is all the city planning. So in this case, when we're planning the LA Super Bowl, I'm the main contact for any of the city entities and any of the NFL departments, vendors, anything at all, the major connector to everything. So lots of conversations with Kathy and her team to get LA off the ground.
Great, thank you, Aubrey. Jason.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So Jason Witt, Director of Community Engagement for SoFi Stadium in Hollywood Park. So yeah, what does that title mean? Essentially, you can break down my position into 3 categories. One of them being underserved business, outreach, and integration. So anything and everything that has to do with businesses that are minority owned, disadvantaged, small business, LGBTQ+, women owned, veteran owned businesses. How do we integrate these companies into the work that we're doing at Hollywood Park, as well as local business? So a big emphasis on Inglewood businesses and how do we integrate them into the work that we're doing. The second bucket is in local hiring. So finding jobs, getting folks placed from the Inglewood community and some of our surrounding communities here. How do we integrate them into our workforce? And that's not just the stadium, but that'll come for all the other different pieces that'll be at Hollywood Park. And then the third bucket is the philanthropic bucket. So creating programs for the local community, integrating, youth into different educational aspects and programs that we'll have here at Hollywood Park, as well as residents, making them feel included, making them feel that this is not just a stadium, but it's their stadium. It's their Hollywood Park because it's right there in their backyard. So really working on programming and doing everything we can to support the local community.
Great, thank you, Jason. Dave.
Hello, everybody. Dave Weiss, Vice President of Sports Marketing for iHeart Radio Los Angeles and the Fox Sports Radio Network. We have 8 stations here in LA and 400 across the country for Fox Sports Radio. Title of Vice President of Marketing has a lot underneath the name. I work with marketing, promotions, contesting, radio personalities, talent, play-by-play properties, baseball players, talent negotiations, and of course, what I love the most, community engagement. Day to day, it has changed so much. Radio is a little bit different than some of the other entities in media. It's an immediate company where we have immediacy, meaning we have to get on the go every time that we have something come to our attention. So my job is to really be the forefront of communications at a time that we need to bring everyone together. So typical day has changed again from last year to this year. We're not in the office as we used to be. And therefore, some of the things that used to come about quickly are communicated in different ways with regards to social activation as well.
Great, thanks, Dave. Tony.
Thanks, Kathy. Thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I'm the director of stadium events for SoFi Stadium in Hollywood Park. Essentially what that means is I work with all of our various departments across SoFi Stadium to hopefully successfully plan and execute all of our events. So that can range from working with our programming team to build out estimates to try and procure events, to working with sponsorship activation to help ensure they comply with some of our policies and procedures, and the rest of our various stadium operations departments, that they have the information they need in order to provide a world-class experience for all of our guests and team members. So I'm going to steal a quote from one of my colleagues. Essentially, those of us in events, we're the jack of all trades, but masters of none. So we really just try to keep the wheel spinning forward and downhill.
And you're the ones who are working 24/7. And just to kind of tie everybody together here, which I should have done to start this off. So the Sports and Entertainment Commission is the host committee for the Super Bowl. And so we work with Aubrey's our point person on the NFL. Dave's our point person for all the promotion we do through iHeart. Jason's our point person on community engagement as it relates to the stadium. And Tony's doing all the work to actually make the event come off, all the operational side. So we're promoting it and he's delivering it. So guys, let's talk about the 2022 Super Bowl in Los Angeles. It will have been 29 years since the last Super Bowl was in Los Angeles, probably more years than most of the people on this call were even alive. The last Super Bowl in 1993 was at the Rose Bowl when the Dallas Cowboys beat the Buffalo Bills and Michael Jackson was the halftime show. So that's just to give you perspective on how far apart the two Super Bowls have been. Aubrey, your job is to help the NFL choose the best locations for marquee events. What is the bid process for LA? What was it like to win the event? How competitive was it? And what really is your role over the next year as we prepare for the Super Bowl?
Great question. You're asking me to remember about 5 years ago. I believe we started talking to the LA team back in 2015 or 2016. And we were in the process of talking through their options on hosting and building, I should say, an NFL stadium. There were a few different options on the table. What ended up working out was Stan Kroenke ended up getting his stadium built, moving a team to LA. And because of all that, we were able to work with his team and then work with Kathy's team to create an LA Super Bowl bid. And we actually had to do the bid twice because after the first award was given, LA was in the middle of their construction and got a lot of rain one certain year, which pushed back their construction timeline. So then after they were awarded in 2016, we had to re-award them in 2017 and push them back a year to 2022, and then bring in Tampa Bay for 2021, which we just finished. So that bid process ended up being longer than expected, but now here we are ready to rock and roll and get all the plans done. And then in terms of how competitive it was, LA was competing against 4 other cities for 3 years. So that was Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. So 4 cities competing for 3 years. 4 cities competing with LA to make 5 for 3 host years. That is very confusing.
Your math is really, that's your strong suit, right? Yeah, okay.
And then to answer the question about what my role will be over the next year. So like I said at the top, I'm one of the main people that the city and all the various city entities speak to every single day, 5 times a day. And I'm really the connector to everybody. So making sure that the host committee and all the city entities are speaking to the right people. Everybody on the NFL side, all of our vendors, our partners, they're communicating with the host committee. Same thing with the stadium and all the other local entities that are a part of this, the Rams, the Chargers, that key middle piece that's then putting this whole puzzle together and making sure that all the pieces fit. That's
So kind of like herding cats. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, lots of herding cats.
Tony, SoFi Stadium has been called the best stadium in the world. What makes it so special, and what will your role be getting ready for next year?
Thanks, Kathy. This question always makes me pause a little bit because I feel like I need to be a salesman, and being on the operations side, I don't really sell much. So I'll do my best. And a picture is really worth 1,000 words. So by all means, if you just Google SoFi Stadium, you're going to be able to see its awe and what's so special of it online. But quite frankly, it's one of a kind. Literally the only one that's been built of this venue and this campus. It's the first indoor-outdoor stadium, meaning that while you're in your seat, you're always covered by the ETFE canopy, but it's open air around all sides. So you still get that ocean breeze while you're sitting underneath a shade canopy. So it's also the first dual-sided video board, as well as 5 levels of ribbon boards that totals over 90,000 square feet of digital assets. So, obviously the other NFL stadium with 2 teams would be MetLife and the Giants. They have a lot of static signage. We've learned our lessons, and we're all digital. So, because we're in LA, we had to dig a giant hole for the LAX flight path, as well as potential for seismic activity. So, 100-foot hole underground. We built the first and only mechanically stabilized earth wall. So essentially think of that as a retaining wall for your basement. Within that retaining wall sits the stadium. So you can walk literally around the entire circumference of SoFi Stadium, 100 feet underground in what we refer to as the moat. So in an earthquake, earth can move up to 80 inches and neither structure is going to touch each other. And because the stadium goes 100 feet down, when you walk in, you're on level 6, right? So the majority of the times you're going to walk into a venue or a stadium, you're going to go up to your seat. Here, the majority of folks will go down. So we have a great deal of vertical transportation. But I think what ultimately makes SoFi Stadium the best stadium in the world is all the special moments and memories we're going to be able to create for all of our guests. These mega events, the Rams, the Chargers, all these other things we're going to be able to put in here. We just can't wait to make those memories for everybody. And the building that was built is going to provide that framework for it, but hosting these things is really what's going to do it. So in preparation of the Super Bowl next February, we've already been talking to Aubrey's colleagues in the NFL League office about what might go where, how we envision things landing throughout the venue and the campus itself. One of the perks that we have is 298 acres to really mold how the site comes together. When you're talking about a Super Bowl, it's not just the stadium itself, but everything surrounding it. So larger planning meetings are scheduled across the next 12 months. People will be out between the NFL and their planning partners for at least once a week, a month. And then we'll have side meetings and all that. So, and then, another big impact is the NFL comes in and essentially helps plan and execute this entire event. So here on the venue side, we're helping prep our staff for what to expect and what's to come and what to look for. So it's unlike anything else. It's a lot of people involved. And so ultimately, my role and what my team will try to do is help keep everything aligned and make sure the right hand's talking to the left. So.
Great. Jason, the reason we should all be excited about Super Bowl is it brings so much opportunity to the city, much more than just the game itself. How do you plan to use all the spotlight and the media attention that Dave is going to generate for us to really make a lasting impact on the community? And what will your role be?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kathy. When I think about the Super Bowl coming to town, and what some of those opportunities are. I think it's really important what Chris even stated, which is you got to get involved. People might think just because it's the Super Bowl, I can't be there, I can't be included, which we know isn't true. You know, sign up to be a volunteer. We're gonna get attention from coming all over the place who we're gonna, you know, descend on Los Angeles and on Inglewood. And, you know, what do you do with, you know, with that massive influx of people? That's, you know, game day specific, but that week, you know, the build up to it. One thing we've talked about is how do you get businesses prepared for the influx, right? There's going to be a number of people that are going to end up descending upon our site for a multitude of different things, but, you know, there's going to be spillover into the neighboring businesses. So, you know, having them, making sure that they're prepared for a massive influx of economic activity. The other thing we talked about is just programming, just understanding that there's programs that are going to be taking place year round that in lead up to the Super Bowl. So how do you take advantage of that? You know, what are some of the resources that they should be tapping into to not just wait for the day of the game to try to get to be a part of the action, but there's so many things that are going to happen before that. So really, you got to take that spotlight and start shining it upon yourself. You know, how do you figure out the things that you do to that are going to benefit, you know, the incoming of all these folks and all these people for your own business, and then you know, for just the excitement that's coming. Super Bowl is going to end up being, you know, almost like a coming out party for, you know, coming out of this this pandemic that we've been into. And you know, people are going to be really excited and want to do things. So you know, we're really excited just to be able to have that opportunity to talk about how it is just much more than a game and the impact it'll have on communities of bringing people together, the economic opportunities that are going to abound, you know, in lead up to the game, as well as when we start getting into the week of and the day of the event. And, you know, talking about my role, so I'm working with the Legacy Committee right now as we look at identifying the 56 Champions initiative and, you know, supporting all of our unsung heroes and, you know, what are the things that we can do to start elevating people, elevating organizations who are doing such good work out in Los Angeles. And then also with the Business Connect program. So we talked about economic opportunities. The ability to say that you worked on a Super Bowl does not come around every day. So it's definitely something that you need to take advantage of when the opportunity is available to you. And, you know, don't let other people tell you no, you know, apply. And, you know, I think when we talk about getting your foot in the door, it's important that you're not the one telling yourself no, but, you know, find a reason to tell yourself yes. And I think with those two committees, when you work at Legacy and you're talking about the Business Connect program, you're talking about ways to really include yourself into the conversation and not just sitting on the sideline.
Great, thank you. And Jason, you were referring to the Legacy. We have a Legacy program the Super Bowl Host Committee does in partnership with the NFL and LA84 and the Play Equity Fund called Champions Live Here, where we're selecting, and Jason is part of that selection committee, 56 unsung hero community organizations doing really good work in our community. So you can find out more information on that. That program will launch next week, March 1st, on our LASuperBowlHD.com website. So make sure you keep checking that out. Dave, speaking of marketing and promotion, major events like the Super Bowl require a big coordinated promotional effort to bring awareness to the residents so they know all the cool opportunities that they can participate in. We always like to say that if they know about it and they decide not to go, that's their choice. But if they don't even know it was here, then shame on us. And so we're relying a lot on your team and other promotional partners like KMBC to help promote and make people aware of all the great opportunities they can participate in. So what is your role besides that responsibility that I'm going to hammer you on if we don't get just tons of promotion? And what are you doing to make sure everybody in the city knows Super Bowl is here?
Well, you know, I think to Jason's point, it really is America 2.0. Last year, you know, a month or two ago, the Super Bowl happened and it kind of came and happened and went. LA is, it's going to be the threshold of America 2.0. And with that coming back, iHeart Radio's responsibility is to, as you mentioned, make sure that everyone knows. We have 11 million listeners that come to our 8 iHeartRadio properties. And one of the things that is a little bit different compared to last year, everybody knows us as iHeartRadio. We became iHeartMedia with 4 verticals that touch every platform, from the radio station itself to the iHeartRadio app to podcasts to social. And so across those 4 platforms, that's the best way to promote it with media. As you mentioned, interviews, press releases, number one for us would be the microphone. Our talent to this day, whether you're a social influencer or a TV personality, if you're on the radio for iHeartRadio, you will be talking about the Super Bowl for an entire year. We kicked off the launch 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure if you listen to an iHeartRadio station, you would have heard Kathy, you would have heard some of the other folks that are part of the LA Sports Commission on the radio talking about it. And if you think about radio, TV and movies come to radio because of that immediacy. And this will be no different. We have to have immediacy, frequency, updates, and that's what we're going to do across the radio station platform. The podcast part of it will be interesting as well, because that wasn't prevalent a year ago. iHeartRadio is now number one in the world for podcasting. So again, you take the platform of the radio station into podcasting, and once you have the interview for radio, you replay it on the podcast. If you do something for the podcast, you play it on the radio, and then it goes across social, and of course, all the elements we talked about. So from a standpoint of us, it's all about community involvement, radio station personalities, and really getting every perspective about the Super Bowl. It's exciting. And talking to somebody the other day that we used to be looked at as a sports city, but now it's sports and entertainment. So from our standpoint, it's, got to make sure it's a party. And this party will go all the way through the day of the Super Bowl. And of course, talking about how great it was after the Super Bowl.
Great. And thank you seriously for everything you're doing to support our efforts. We really appreciate it. So guys, let's now talk about some interesting jobs in the sports business. The sports business is such an attractive industry. Majority of the people on the call today, we have a couple hundred of them, are interested in how to get their foot in the door and learn about the different opportunities in this space. So if I was graduating and looking to get into the sports business today, where would you tell me to look for a job? And what is a sports business job that they don't know about, some hidden gem, some good opportunity? So I'll start with you, Aubrey.
Awesome. There's a million places, but so I don't take all the answers. I would say, first of all, use your network. Your network is your number one power tool, and everybody that's in your network is hopefully willing to put their name behind you and their recommendation and referral behind you. So be open and honest with anybody who has the job that you want, has the title you want, works at the company you want. Use them to your advantage and really create those relationships with those people, because the sports industry is incredibly small. We all know each other, we all work together. So rely on the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and that you are being vocal about what you want to those people. So I'll take the network stance on that one. And then to answer the second question, what's a sports business job that people might not know? Honestly, I would say my job, not to put myself in the limelight here, but my job is very unique, and not a lot of people know that this is a position. It's a position at all the various leagues. So at MLS, NBA, World Cup, NCAA, like all the major sports organizations. So there's only 5 to 10 of us that work on future locations of all these major events. And even before I graduated college, I had absolutely no idea that this was a job. And now here I am in this position deciding where the Super Bowl goes. So it's interesting where your life leads you and what experiences you get along the way. And then back to the network, there's people that also introduce you to jobs along the way. For me, it was Kathy, and I formerly worked for Kathy for 6 years right out of college. So she's actually the one that introduced me to a sports commission, and then also to the role that I now have at the NFL. So learned that from the LASIK side, and then now I do it on the NFL side.
Great, thanks, Hobbs. Tony.
That's awesome. I had no idea, Aubrey. Super cool to hear that story. To reiterate what she said, your network is key, and you know, you're probably tired of hearing that already, even if you're just in college or recently graduated, because it's like, well, how do you grow your network, right? But your classmates have connections. Like Aubrey said, if there's something that you're interested in, go find their title on LinkedIn, send them a message for an informational interview, right? When you're looking for jobs, it seems so easy just to go to Teamwork Online or LinkedIn and search for jobs available, but not everybody posts there, right? So when I'm job hunting, I'll literally go to NFL.com, MLB.com, NBA.com, or a team I want to work for, because a lot of those organizations will only post on their company websites because enough people are hunting and hungry to try and find those. So it's not as simple as a 5-minute Google search, oh, I can't find a job. No, you really got to hunt and work to try to find that if you know somewhere you want to be. So, and then a sports business job that people might not know about, I'm just going to echo Aubrey's, because otherwise I don't really know any others, because it's such a growing and magnified industry right now on the cross entertainment between sports and entertainment. But for me, it all depended on my interest. I learned so much more on the 6 to 8 internships of stuff I didn't want to do, whether it was sales or marketing or whatever, versus actually doing what I'm doing now. So you just got to get that experience and find your niche. So.
Great, thanks, Tony. Jason.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all going to end up echoing each other a little bit with the with some of these answers, but I think it's because it just rings so true. To be completely honest, I fell into this business by accident, and I think one of the things that I think is key for people to realize is what you're doing when you necessarily graduate or get out of school isn't always what you're going to be doing 10 years later, right? It's been about that long since I've graduated, and I got a construction engineering degree from San Diego State, and I was going to work in construction. And it's funny how life takes you different places, because that journey of working in construction led me to working at the stadium project and using the skill set for which I got from engineering in a different way. So the ability to analyze data, decision making, especially in construction, the negotiations and the ability to work in teams while also needing to be pretty independent when you need to get something done. It just so happens that the skill sets you pick up along the way can translate into future career success in a different industry. So I think when I came to work for Hollywood Park, that skill set combined with my passion for community, I took those two things, merged them together, and used it to build programs and work for the construction company I worked for previously. And so that skill set translated. And so I think I tell people to don't kind of bury yourself into this one silo and not try other things, because you definitely pick up a lot of skills along the way in different places. And if you just keep your eye on the prize, if this is what you want to do, you can obviously continue that pursuit, and you should, but definitely look at other opportunities and look at things that can help you get to that place, to kind of build up your skill set, that because there's going to be things that people are looking for that might be a little outside of the box that you end up bringing to the table because you've experienced and you've lived some things and you've done some different positions. And to answer that question, I didn't know, I think 30 years ago, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if my job existed. Being director of community engagement for a 290-acre site that focuses on a number of the things we talked about. So, it's very interesting the way society changes, and where we start putting our emphasis as a people, start dictating some new emphasis on careers, and really creates avenues for folks to succeed. So I would say my position, I didn't know that it existed before I got into it.
Great. And Dave, batting cleanup.
Like everybody in the panel mentioned, we are all saying the same thing because we've all lived the exact same thing. Radio, again, is a little bit different. Most people think that you show up to a station. If you're in promotions, maybe you do a promotional giveaway, and that's it. But, it's different. And I think that you create your own path. You need to find something that you are passionate about. And once you find your passion, you figure out how to navigate yourself to a different area. For myself, it's been 22 years. My current job, 32 years overall. Every day I say to myself, how can I be different than I was yesterday? With the pandemic over the last year, how am I different today than I was a year ago? A year ago, much like Jason mentioned, there are jobs that did not exist, but we've created. We've unfortunately let most of our promotional staff go. So I do everything from paperwork to $1 million contest. So you have to keep yourself rolling. For me, again, it's about a mindset of how can I be the best at what I do? My bad days are often better than most people's good days. So I still love what I do, and you have to have that passion. That's what's going to get you to the next level. For myself and everybody here, and for those of you on watching this, we're home more than ever. Our building's been shut down for well over a year, and so we've all had to find a way to work a little bit differently. For myself, I've gotten more involved, more connected through LinkedIn, all the social platforms. I'm not a troller, but I get great content from those platforms. So to that point, the way that you want to find your next job, it used to be in person. It used to be showing up at a radio station. It used to be emailing a resume. Maybe it's sending in a resume back in the day to somebody. That's not available any longer. Just know that somebody like myself is looking towards the time that folks can come back and be a part of a department instead of one person. And so I'm really looking for social. I check Facebook, I check LinkedIn, I check TikTok, I check Snapchat. You got to make sure that that is your new resume. Years ago, or if you started your account, it was about putting up pictures just because you wanted to get comments. Now that is your electronic resume of the bodywork of who you are. And I think that's going to be the future of how we connect you into the industry. As far as jobs, I would say content manager for iHeart Media. That's the one job that really has come to fruition over the past year. Our social team was always there, but now our social team is doing programming, marketing, talent videos, and everything is about growing your ratings for a radio station, but about growing impressions on social. And for radio, if you miss a segment on the radio, you might be able to catch it on a podcast. Social lives forever. Even if you think you're going to delete something, just know that it's up there forever. So for me, content manager for radio and media is the brand new job that did not exist in its current form, even as of yesterday.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw a question out. Anybody can jump in, but just real quick, but I want to get people's feedback. What do you enjoy most and least about your job?
I'll go first. I would say what I like most is that, there's a few things, but I get to talk to every major city in the US almost every single day. So it's creating those relationships in all those cities, learning about all the venues, learning about all the hotels, restaurants. So when you go there to plan the events, you know exactly what you're putting on the docket. I'm also lucky that our events department at the NFL is a very tight-knit group. So I think it's important to also like who you work with every day and also who you report to, and be honest about what you want out of your role and your position, because I think we all spend so much time at our jobs and sometimes they become our life, that you have to like the people you surround yourself with and surround yourself with people that are going to make you better. So those would be my two answers for what I like best about my job. What I like least, which I know all of us can relate to, is that we work 24/7 and you're always on your cell phone, answering emails, taking calls. And then to my point about all 32 club cities, they're all in different time zones. So even though you're technically off at 5, sometimes you're taking a panel at 8:45 p.m. Eastern time. So you just always have to be on and ready and answering questions. And when the travel part comes, you're away from home a lot. You're staying in hotels. You're always on an airplane. You have to be able to work from anywhere and be able to have really good time management from that perspective.
And Aubrey, what's your dream job? Somebody asked the question, so be ready, guys. Came from the audience.
My ultimate dream job is to be a race car driver.
Okay.
That would be the coolest job in the world.
Okay. So for the rest of you, coming back down to reality, maybe what would your next job be? Let's go to that. So who next on what you enjoy most and least about your job?
First, Dave should have to share his TikTok name. And Aubrey, I want to talk to you so much more about this race car thing.
So Jason, what's the best and worst part about your job, Jace?
Favorite part about my job is I love people. So I think, you know, I've got into community engagement because I love to help people and I love to give back and just, you know, merge the passion with a career and you know, it couldn't be any greater. And being able to help kids, and I have a really big push for STEAM education and you know, providing careers and internships and all types of things through that. So that's like the favorite part about my job, is that I have an outlet to constantly impact people's lives and for the positive. My least favorite part about my job, it's there's not a whole lot of bad things about this job. I think Aubrey just kind of hit on the always having to be on factor of it. You know, you really got to have a good partner, somebody who's got your back. You know, I've got 2 young girls, and it's that management of your time, she said, you know, is really important. You know, I've got family commitments. You know, your babies don't care that you do what you do, and you know, whatever your title is, all they want is for daddy to come and play games and put barrettes in his hair. So you know, it's figuring out, you got to really have that management of your time and making sure everybody else understands that too. But you know, you still have obligations that you got to hit. So I think that's probably the least favorite part, is just the I don't have enough time in order to do all the things that I want to do in the one day. But you know, you learn the skill of managing. How do you do the things that you need to do, you know, with the time that you're given.
And dream job?
I'm doing it.
Next one. Okay, great. Perfect. Tony.
I was just going to say, I'm just waiting for Jason to say the least part is working with the events department at SoFi Stadium. So glad we didn't go there. But no, what I enjoy the most is, you know, if I do my job, if our team does our job successfully, we get to, on any given Sunday or Saturday night, give 70,000 people the relief to get away from their real lives and escape and create those memories they'll forget or they'll remember for the rest of their lives. So my job coming to work is to help everybody else forget the real world for them. And when we're able to do that, you see how excited people are to see the building or to see the event or kickoff, the hugs, high fives, whatever it is. That's what makes all the hours, the sleepless nights worth it. And then I would say conversely to that is when you know that you've missed something and you've failed, you know, your guests at that aspect, whether it's the fans themselves or your employees, right? If you screw up employee shuttles or something like that and they're stuck waiting, like those are the moments that I dislike the most. So, and you know, dream job, I would say I'm doing it. That's why I came to SoFi Stadium. I can't wait for the next 5-10 years in Los Angeles. And just continuing to see where the path takes me. I would have 10 years ago, I was living in southern Minnesota in that -2 degrees. So to be here, it's pretty hard to complain about anything else being a better dream job.
Great, Dave.
Yeah, it looks like we're all living the dream. I'll start with my dream job is, once again, what I'm doing. Very, very lucky to have the opportunity to think of something, do it, and then see the results of that. Every day I feel like I change a life, whether it's somebody winning a Kiss FM Pay Your Bills or an opportunity to meet a Dodger player on Zoom, possibility of attending the Super Bowl next year. And for me, the current media company that I'm with and have been with for a long time continues to grow. As I mentioned earlier, iHeart started as a radio station, and now it's iHeart Media as a conglomerate with podcasts, social media, and of course the microphone. The power of the microphone gives us the opportunity to give over 11 million listeners a week the chance to hear a message that might go out there. And again, charity as well. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I would probably be the director of Dream Center Los Angeles, where I can change lives every single day. The fact that for the company, I get that opportunity with 8 of the radio stations. So I get to do charity. And it just makes a difference in what we do. So very blessed to be able to do that. The least part of my job is and was the hours of driving the games. You know, before the pandemic hit, I had probably worked, 90 plus hours a week. I was at every sporting event, every entertainment event. We had over 300 events outside of sporting events that happened a year. And about a year ago, when the pandemic hit, it was, what's the direction? How are we going to attend to this? As a radio listener, what will keep you interested in a music station or a sports station? And here it is, a year later, I'm still working, but I'm not working at the fever pace that I was a year ago because I'm not driving everywhere. So the least part of my job went away. And that's why I think I really have the dream job, because I get to reinvent myself every single day.
Great. So we've gotten a lot of questions, you guys, on the technical skills or what skills or traits you need for your job. So if you could just, in 30 seconds or less, maybe reel out what skills and traits you'd be looking for if you were hiring for somebody, and how important a master's degree is for what you do, or some kind of advanced education. So, Aubrey, you want to start?
Sure. I'll start with the second question first. I get this question a lot about the master's degrees. I think it depends on what exactly you want. I would say in the general sports industry, you don't need it, is my opinion. That it's all mostly about who you know, who your network is, and how you can use your network and prove yourself to everybody. If you want to go into more of a law degree or a business degree, maybe become obviously a lawyer or a sports agent, or on the business side, again, maybe you're dealing with finances, maybe you want to become a higher education teacher. There's different pathways that you would likely need an MBA of some sort or an advanced degree for those types of roles. But my position is the industry is more about networking and how you use your network in order to help you get the jobs that you want. Remind me what the other question was.
Technical skills or traits you're looking for.
All right. I would say in planning events, at least in my role, it's more about what I look for. It's more about ambition and your personality, because you have to be able to create and manage relationships with a ton of different people at a ton of different levels, whether that's owners of NFL clubs, whether that's leaders of cities, whether that's mayors, police departments, like it runs the whole gamut. So you have to be able to know how to communicate and also create and sustain relationships with all these people, not only in all these other cities, but also internally. So in my world, everyone at the NFL, in all the various departments, and then all of our vendors, partners, venue leaders, hotel partners, etc. I wouldn't say there's a hard technical skill that you have to have. It's more about the soft skills.
Great. And just one other question. How big is the staff that works on Super Bowl game day? What kind of, somebody asked numbers.
Oh gosh. Depends who you include, but it's hundreds, maybe thousands.
5,000.
I think it's 5,000
volunteers. So
yeah, it's a lot. It's the accreditation team would know this answer. I believe we do upwards
15,000.
15,000.
Thank you, Tony. So
it's a lot of people, and it's a lot of, I mean, back to the job question, jobs you don't know about. I mean, I even still don't know half the jobs that people do at Super Bowl because they're so unique. And it's like, Super Bowl is a huge, huge, huge undertaking. So all the different ways that the audience here can get involved are going to be very important, and everybody should sign up for everything.
So Tony, for on the operations side, what technicals, if somebody wants to get into your field, technical skills, traits do they need? Do they need a master's degree?
You got to be flexible. You got to be humble, attention to detail. Just always willing to roll with it, because you're essentially the last one that's probably asked to get something done, but you need to get it done at a certain deadline. So just that ability to pivot and shift your focus and keep the positive attitude throughout it is really key for that. And I would definitely agree with how Aubrey presented masters versus not. I mean, I'll be honest, when I was graduating undergrad, I went and got my master's because I wanted a little bit more experience, but I wasn't quite ready to get into the full-time world. I very much enjoyed being in college, so I was able to get a full-time internship and then still complete my master's. So that experience over those 2 years, honestly, is what got me my first real full-time opportunity in California, and the rest is history. So again, it's sort of up to you, and what's more important to your career path.
Great, thank you. Jason.
Yeah, as far as traits and skills go, I really think Tony mentioned it, the flexibility. I think it's really program management. So, when you're talking about community engagement and the things that we do, it's usually you running programs. So event planning, you need to be good at managing money and estimates, budgets, volunteer management. You need to be really good at talking to people. Aubrey mentioned, your ability to talk to multiple different types of people at different levels. You need to be able to technically explain something while also at the same time, if you need to, make it as simple in terms as possible you could be saying the same sentence. So your ability to communicate with multiple different types of people becomes really important in the type of work that we do. As far as the master's degree versus other degrees, I don't feel it's important for our position is the master's degree. What I really tell people is, but you do need to continuously learn. There's a lot of organizations and programs that you can take once you start dialing in on specialties to kind of increase your acumen for the career path you're choosing. Obviously, if you want to go get the degree, do so. But when I think about some of the issues that people in that I've worked with and dealt with in my background, finance becomes a really big issue, and dropping X amount of dollars for a master's degree becomes another obstacle, I guess, for a lot of people. So really what I tell them is you really just need to be continuously learning, utilize the experience that you have, because that's, in my opinion, once you start getting into the world that we're in now, it's really the experience and the network that you have to get things done. Can you get things done effectively and efficiently?
Great. Dave.
For the world of media, much like everybody's mentioned, you don't really need a degree, but if you are a talent, back in the day, you would put a microphone, you have a cameraman, let's say you're at Dodger Stadium, you do a report, you're done. Nowadays, you have to be the cameraman, you have to be audio engineer, you have to be not only just a reporter, but a journalist. You have to write your own stories. So really the hard work happens after that stand up at a stadium. Currently, again, I keep talking about the last year and how it's changed. We have less people, so that means you have more responsibilities. So you are gonna have to learn how to edit. You're gonna have to learn how to produce if you're a personality, and you're gonna have to learn to do everything from A to Z, which is a little different than it was a year ago. Marketing wise, my degree was public relations from Cal State Fullerton. I decided not to do my master's program because I was already in the business since I was 18. So my rise came through experience. My rise came through failing, but I knew that if I failed at something, I would learn, and that means that I tried. So, for today, I would say you got to make sure that you're okay to make errors. It's okay to talk to people. You want to go on LinkedIn, you want to network. And again, I can't stress enough that we're all sitting here at home. We're not in the office, which means we are connected more than ever on Zoom, Teams calls, cell phones, and there's no getting around the fact that I'm in a dead spot at Dodger Stadium. You can get a hold of me. So I encourage you to just keep networking, looking up people. And again, conversation, that's a conversation starter, is find out what somebody does. where they came from, what do they do, and then also where they're going.
Great, great. Okay, so I have one last question, and if each of you can weave this in, weave a second question into your answer. But the first question is, what is the best advice you've ever received, or what advice would you give to this group in looking for a job? And then another question that came in on the chat was, how do you stay in touch after meeting someone? How do you keep that connection? We've all talked about foot in the door, so maybe talk about that. But end with, what is the best advice you've received, or what advice would you like to give the group? Aubrey, you want to start?
Yes. To stay in touch and keep connection. I know this is a hard one, but it's something everybody needs to do. So say you had your interview, or you meet somebody new and you want to stay in touch, you have to create that email type relationship with people. We all live on email or text, and it's constant 24/7. So you have to have the confidence in yourself to reach out to these people, keep them updated about what you're doing, what you want, what your goals are, how they can help you. You have to lay it out for people, because it's one thing to email them and ask them for a job, or ask them what their background is. But if you're not putting in the effort and laying it out for us and us to other people, then it's kind of missing the point. So I think you have to, it goes back to creating and sustaining relationships. That's how it gets done these days, all by text and email. So have the confidence in yourself to reach out to people and put yourself out there and build those relationships for yourself and for your future. To answer the question about best advice I ever received, I could go on about advice that I have for people, but I think the one thing that worked for me, I come from a very, very tiny, small village in Ohio, 900 people, one flashing stoplight, like, every single person, everyone's related. Building that picture for you, because nobody where I'm from ever gets out of the state, let alone maybe an hour radius of where we're from. So I was one person that had a dream to eventually move to LA when I was 22 years old and work on red carpets and work with pro athletes and do all these amazing things. And every single card was stacked against me. I had no network. I knew absolutely nobody. And I had to put that on myself to do exactly that. I reached out to people that I had no idea who they were. I asked people to take a chance on me. I showed my passion through my conversations and again, emails. And you have to do that in order to get what you want and for that to change your life.
Great.
Bam.
Tony.
How do I follow that? Thanks, Aubrey.
I got passionate there.
Yeah. Can I just echo that and we move on? No, it's really funny you say that, because it very much resonates with me too, Aubrey, right? Coming from the middle of nowhere in Minnesota and going to the small undergrad school and just having aspirations of working hard. And, there's nothing wrong with the person that knew somebody because their uncle worked for an organization or their dad was a coach and they got an opportunity, whatever it is. Those are the circumstances, but some folks don't have those. And so to build your network, you have to grind every day and remember that every day you interact with somebody, whether it's your colleague, your teacher, your professor, your internship boss, whatever it might be, your friend, that's an impression you're going to make that they can look back on. Literally today, I'm walking around some folks through the stadium planning for Super Bowl, and I worked with this same person 5 years ago in my old job, and it kind of clicks like, oh my gosh, but he remembered me because of the effort I put forth when their time was on site and then staying connected over the years, right? So like Aubrey said, you gotta have that passion to keep staying connected. Don't LinkedIn me saying, are you hiring, right? Can I have an informational interview? how did you get to where you're at, right? And then to be able to hear everybody else's journeys, it really resonates. So that connection is just that crucial, and you never know how it'll come back around full circle 10, 20 years down the road. So I don't know if I answered all your questions, Kathy, but
Did kind of,
Aubrey got me going. So
I know she's, yeah. So Jason, you want to build off of that one?
Yeah. And I'll say, this is something some of my mentors have talked to me about, and I'll say it in kind of two statements. One, if I lost my job or my title tomorrow, who would take my calls? Don't forget those people. And as we talk about the interactions that we have with so many different folks, you'll definitely come to realize, the whole point is to get your foot in the door and you grow and you start doing these amazing things with your position. Your phone's going to start ringing a whole lot more, and a whole lot more people are going to want your time and attention. So remember the folks who were there for you when you were trying to get there. Remember the folks who supported you, and wanted to help you get to where you're at today, and the ones who had your back. And that doesn't mean you just do whatever it is that they say and you do whatever it is that they want. It's more of a statement of just remember the ones who helped you to get to where you wanted to be at, and to really, maintain those relationships, because you really never know where anybody is going to end up. You really never know, what connections can be made because of an authentic relationship that you have with people. And I think that's what we all learn throughout our business, is that you have an authentic relationship with people. And then the other thing that my mentor told me, this was actually as I was transitioning into this job, she used to work at AEG, similar position, working with the Lakers and working with a bunch of people, the Kings and all that. And she told me, she said, it's not you, it's your position. So be humble. And that was her way of saying, don't let all of this stuff get to your head. You're gonna interact with the athletes and the celebrities and all this stuff. And just remember who you are, remember where you came from, and remember why you're doing what you're doing. And people, like I said, people are going to blow you up. People are going to want you to do things. Just remember that it's not always you that they're talking to. It's your position that they're trying to talk to. So just be humble, make good decisions, and just remember why you were placed in the position that you are placed in. It's because you're good at what you do. So, make good decisions.
Great advice, Jason. I love that. Dave, are you going to stay with us for longer than a few seconds, Mr. Radio Man here go ahead. While we still have.
I'm all yours. There's one person that really is in charge of your future, and that's you. Growing up and as I went through my career, the one thing that I was told from everybody, including my own mindset, was if I invest into myself, others will invest into me. So kind of what everyone's talking about is you got to make sure that you push yourself forward. You have to stay connected with those that you met. And the number one thing that you have is your name. Everybody hopefully will know your name. For me, much like Aubrey, I moved to LA when I was 19. It took me about 3 months to get into a radio station. Program director never returned my phone calls. Finally, I showed up at an event and I said, "Hi, my name is Dave Weiss, nice to meet you." And he said, you're hired. I know who you are. Thank you for staying in contact with me. So you want to make sure that you're persistent without being too persistent. And that just makes, you got to just make sure you keep connected in that way. With regards to moving yourself forward in that direction, again, you're going to hear it from everybody. It's who you know. Your networking community starts with everybody on this call, and it ends with your family, your friends, former bosses. We all change jobs at one time or another, and you never know who you're going to be talking to that might be able to give you your dream job tomorrow.
Great, guys. This has been tremendous. Before we wrap up, I want to hit on a couple quickie questions. I'll just answer real quickly from the chat line. Somebody asked who is hosting, with two teams in the market, who's hosting Super Bowl host committee. The Super Bowl host committee is a partnership of the Sports and Entertainment Commission. It's a partnership with SoFi Stadium, the Rams, and the Chargers. So we have multiple hosts. So that was number one. Number two, somebody asked, where do we hope LASCC will be over the next, in 10 years? We hope Los Angeles, we will hope that we will have brought, and LA will have hosted every major sporting event in the country in Los Angeles over the next 10 years. And I think we're well on our way to do that. And thanks to all these people for helping that. And last question we didn't get to, Michael Gibbons, our friend and longtime volunteer, I will hook you up with Jason Witt to answer the question on small businesses later. So I just want to wrap by saying, you know, please, everybody's on this call, stay in touch with us. We will be keeping you posted on volunteer and other engagement opportunities through our newsletter, but we would love your help. These events, the Super Bowl and the college football playoff and everything else we're hosting, they bring tremendous impact to our city through the Business Connect program, through our legacy program, our volunteer program. We need people to know about those. We need you to help get the word out. So tell a friend. We want you to engage. We want you involved. We thank you for your support. And I want to thank all of our panelists, Aubrey, Tony, Jason, and Dave. Thank you guys for taking the time today to help this group out. We really appreciate it. We have a rock star. This, to everybody on the call, the Los Angeles Super Bowl host committee is supported by this group. This is a partnership. We have the most amazing host committee in the entire world. Sorry, Aubrey, I know you have to be impartial, but our Los Angeles group here, of which Aubrey is a part because she was born and raised here, even though she says she's from the East. We're happy to have it, and we're looking forward to seeing all you during the next year leading up to Super Bowl. So thank you, stay in touch, and we'll see y'all later.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
Guys.
Thanks.